So, hello there. My name is Wisdom. You're very helpful. Um, and I'm gonna try again to do another stream. And I felt nervous the first time I streamed, and it was really nice because Snow helped me set it up and get it ready. And I went to do a game that he picked, and he did Rogue Legacy, which is a game that I like and enjoy, but I think I was feeling a lot more nervous to continue playing that one, and I kept screwing up, so I felt really bad. And so I think I'm going to try this again, and this one should be recorded now because I figured out how to record, and I decided I'm going to go with something a little more like simple, a little more like one of my favorite games that I've ever found on Steam. It's a little indie game, it's a little dating sim game, it's a little lesbian game. And it's based off of a really classic book, but the book is the book isn't gay. This is gay. The book itself is I think it was made a while ago, but it's very sweet. It's made by the person, what was her name? Frances Hodgins. I want to remember her name, and pronounce it right, so I don't mess up. Frances Hodgins Burnett, I believe, is her name, and she is the writer of this book and the writer of, I believe, Secret Garden, and the book is really good, but I didn't learn about the book until I played this game, and then this game was so good to me that I wanted to read the original inspiration for this, and I think this game follows the book pretty closely. There's some obviously minor differences. There's some also major differences on the fact that this is a lesbian dating sim. So it's a lot more, you're going to see a lot more character development between certain characters and romances, but the main story is basically the same. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. Let's start the game. It was spring when Sarah's school life began, but spring in London was nothing like any spring she had known before. The morning sun was not enough to lift the chill from the stony streets, and the mist off the river blended with the smoke of countless chimneys to form a thick yellow fog. In such weather, the gas lamps burned night and day, flickering like stars to guide the horse-drawn ships to their destinations. But the ship that had carried her across the ocean was now a thing of the past. Here, then, was Sarah's new home. It was a big, dull brick house, exactly like all the others in its row, except that on the front door there shone a brass plate which was engraved in black letters, "Miss Minchin, Select Seminary for Young Ladies." Girls, gather around, if you please. Come, hurry up. We have a new pupil who will be joining us starting today. Her name is Sarah Crew, and she has only recently arrived in England, so you must all make her feel welcome. How do you do? The room filled with a chorus of gently murmured greetings. Sarah Crew, for that was her name, looked out upon a garden of strangers. Every face was turned to her, polite and attentive and perfectly foreign. She felt more lost than she had ever been at sea. Sarah dear, as you can see, we have pupils here of all levels, but these three are particularly near your age. This is Miss Lavinia Herbert, charmed. Miss Ermengarde St. John, and Miss Jessie About. We're very pleased to meet you. I'm very pleased to meet you as well. I've never known very many girls near my age. I figured I'd do my regular voice for Sarah, because I'm gonna try and do a couple accents. But I noticed somebody followed. I think I got a notification or somebody joined. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. I'm very happy. I hope you all enjoy. I'm just having a really chill time, and this is gonna be fun. So, yeah, I'm gonna try and do voices. Hopefully, they sound different and it sounds okay. Just let me know if I'm doing a good job or if I need to correct any voices or exaggerate any more. But for Sarah Crew, I'm gonna try and just do my regular reading voice. Nor any other age. Sarah's life before that point had been not isolated, but sheltered. Her mother had died when she was born, leaving Sarah to be raised by the young, handsome father who was the only relation she had ever known. Some fathers had little time for their children, but Sarah and her papa had always been quite close, reading books and playing games together every day. He treated her as a little confidant, sharing his thoughts with her as if she were his peer and not a very young girl, and listened solemnly to the advice she gave in return, though he didn't always follow it. Sarah had never felt lonely, but it must be said that she had very little experience in making new friends. Sarah's father, Captain Crew, makes his home in India, and he is returning there as we speak. I shall expect you all to be very agreeable to her. Now, Sarah, take your seat. Your father has informed me how very much you enjoy your studies, and I expect you to be a credit to this establishment. I am not certain how to become a credit, but I do wish to learn. This statement was met with muffled giggles. Confused, Sarah looked back at Miss Minchin for guidance. Take your seat, I said. But which seat is mine? Concerned that she would look disobedient if she hesitated further, she slid into the nearest empty place. No one objected, and she let out a sigh of relief. Nearby, two girls turned to whisper to each other. What a way she has of speaking. So old-fashioned. Oh, did somebody... Oh, thank you so much for the follow. It means so much to me. Thank you. Oh. What a way she has of speaking, so old-fashioned. Hush! And her eyes are such a queer color, a funny-looking child, to be sure. Well, she isn't pretty as other pretty people are, but there is something about her. She makes you want to look at her again, to see what it is. And she has tremendously long eyelashes. Only you would notice such a thing. Girls, kindly pay attention to your lessons. Yes, Miss Minchin. Okay, so choose an activity for Sarah to perform each day. Every activity has 3 possible outcomes, which will change the icons you receive. At the end of the week, Sarah's icons will be collected and turned into resources. Books become knowledge, little paintbrushes become artistry, time becomes patience, hearts become sympathy, angel becomes grace, cross becomes belief, and this little running figure becomes vigor. Icons are only converted at the end of the week. Until then, they can be changed or lost by other activities. Plan the order of your activities in order to get the best results for the week. So, this has some mini management stats. It's kind of like Princess Maker or Monster Rancher or Long Live the Queen, but this one's very simple and it's not hard at all to get what you need. In fact, I'm gonna do a quick little save. I have played this game quite a bit, so I'm gonna go back before we. So there's a ton of little things you can choose, and each one gives you a certain amount. And depending on which one you pick, that'll allow you to engage with a certain character, depending on what you have unlocked. And right now we have, because it's week 1, we only have 1 of everything. So I'm gonna choose which ones to do. And from there, I'll hit done and we'll go from there. And I was thinking if it would be fun for those watching, if you would like, you can put in chat as we go through the story if there's any character you would like me to sort of pursue. There's 4 romance options and then there's 2 platonic options. And as we meet the characters, you'll kind of get to see me interact with them, and you guys can decide who you want to hang out with, and then at the end we'll pick the girl I'm gonna focus on, and it'll be exciting. I think that'll be really fun. So if that sounds like a fun thing, yeah. So here we go. Let's see what I'm gonna do. We'll start with a tea party. And then we will read a book. Tea party, read a book. We'll practice dance. We'll play with toys. Actually, no. We'll write in diary, and then we'll play with toys to end the day. So let's do that. And it has this cute little animation. Now the schedule that you have set will be carried out. For each weekday, Sarah will point to the randomly chosen result, and those icons will appear on the right side of the screen. You do not have to click to advance between days. It will happen automatically. You can adjust the speed of activities from the preference menu. Remember, icons are only converted to resources at the end of the week. A result of double all books will double your current icons, but not your long-term knowledge resources. Alright, let's go. I gained a lot of heart. Visiting. Reading. I gained a book. Aw, I got some time, some vigor, and some patience. Ooh, I'm doing pretty good with this round. Again, it's randomly selected, so I'm not sure which ones will end up being picked, but I tried to do the best ones that would give me certain options. Okay. My room. My 2 rooms just for me. Sarah is not what was known as a parlor boarder, where other girls were quartered in standard-issue single rooms. She had a large bedroom, uniquely decorated, and a separate sitting room with a comfortable sofa. My papa has filled it's weird saying papa in my regular voice, because I don't say, I call my dad daddy, because that's what I kind of grew up with, so I'm not used to saying my papa, so it kind of sounds weird. My papa has filled them with beautiful things: books, velvet cushions, lace dresses, a porcelain tea set, hats with green feathers that bob on them, even a tiger rug to remind me of India. It looks like a room that would belong to the daughter of a Raja, an Indian princess. I only wish that this room also contained my papa. Perhaps it does. He gave me all these things, and whenever I touch them, I can imagine that he is with me. And when I read his farewell letter, I can hear his voice. My dear little missus, so here you are, in the place you always knew you must go. But be of good cheer. You will not have to stay for a very long time. There will be a lot of little girls, and you will play together, and I will send you plenty of books, and you will grow so fast that it will seem scarcely a year before you are big enough and clever enough to come back and take care of Papa. I am not in the least anxious about your education. You are always sitting with your little nose burrowing into books, gobbling them up as if you were a little wolf instead of a little girl. I have instructed Miss Minchin to drag you away from your books when you read too much, and make you go and ride your pony in the row, or buy a new doll. You ought to play more with dolls. Oh, Papa, if I bought a new doll every day, I should have too many to be able to make friends with them all. I am happiest with just Emily, and happier because I was with you when I met her. Emily, of course, was the name of a doll, a very special doll that Sarah had discovered when her papa took her to visit the premier toy shops of London. She was a large doll, but not too large to carry about easily. She had naturally curling golden brown hair, which hung like a mantle about her, and her eyes were deep, clear gray blue, with soft, thick eyelashes, which were real eyelashes and not mere painted lines. At Sarah's insistence, she had been given a wardrobe every bit as grand as Sarah's own, with frocks and coats and nightgowns and beautiful lace-trimmed underthings. She even had her own tiny lady's handkerchief and her own cradle bed at the foot of Sarah's. Sarah lifted Emily up onto her lap and smiled at her, just as she would another little girl. My papa is on the sea now, Emily. We must be very great friends to each other, intimate friends, and tell each other things. Look at me, Emily. You have the nicest eyes I ever saw, but I wish you could speak. Ooh, you're building a computer? That sounds so awesome. What kind of a computer? I'm assuming a desktop. I don't know enough about computers, but that's really cool. Oh, I went too far. She brushed Emily's hair fondly, settling her in pride of place. There are so many girls in the school. I have never seen so many children in one place before. I am afraid I shall not even remember all of their names. I have always known that someday I would be required to go away, to leave my home and my papa and come to England to be educated. I must do my duty, even if I do not like it. I dare say soldiers, even brave ones, don't really like going into battle, but they must do it anyway, and not cry and fuss. So must I, but oh, it is so lonely. She could not know, of course, how her quiet sorrow might be misinterpreted by others. Miss Minchin, the proprietor, had seen the lavish preparations for Sarah's pretty little room and concluded that here was a child who had always been given her own way at the expense of others. Such a spoiled little girl might be expected to kick and scream and set the whole house into an uproar when abandoned by her only parent. That she did not suggested to Miss Minchin that Sarah cared nothing at all for her papa, but only for her dresses and toys. Such was not a thought that inspired sympathy in her heart for the newcomer. Just then, there came a sound at the door of Sarah's room. Sarah was not a girl easily given to fear or startlement, but she had a healthy share of curiosity, and went at once to see what it was. Outside sat a little girl, right on her bottom in the middle of the hall, her baby plump legs splayed and the lace of her petticoats askew as if she had just toppled over, which, in fact, she had. "Hello there. Who might you be?" "Lottie." Her words were hard to make out through the fingers she had shoved into her mouth. "Lottie?" The fingers were withdrawn and wiped dry among the frills of her skirt. "Lottie lay." Sarah smiled. Here, then, was a chance to meet just one person at a time, instead of a crowd of strangers. "Well then, I am Sarah Crewe, and now we are properly introduced." She held out a hand and helped the little girl to her feet. "Was there something you wanted?"
May I look at your doll?"
"Of course you may. Come and visit me in my room, and we can have tea together. My papa left me a beautiful tea set with lilies painted on it. Emily has her own service as well, sized for her hand because she is too small to hold one of my cups."
"I want to see."
"Come inside then, and I will introduce you to Emily." And that was Sarah's first week of classes at Miss Minchin's Select Seminary for young girls. On the weekends, you can spend the resources you have collected in order to unlock scenes with different characters. The requirements for each event will be listed in the box next to the character. If an event requires 5 belief, you must have at least 5 belief on the left-hand side of the screen in order to play event. Playing that event will lower your current belief by 5. Some scenes will not be available until later in the story. Others can only be played early in the game. Pay attention to the requirements. It is best to focus your attention on only 2 or 3 characters in order to have time to play all of their scenes. Got it. So, we can meet Jessie, and we could have met Lottie and Lavinia, but unfortunately I need more belief for Lottie and I need more grace for Lavinia. So, because I can't do either of them, I guess we'll just have to pick Jessie for now. And then these 3 characters haven't been unlocked yet, but we'll eventually meet them, and that'll be a time. I'm really excited to see what people pick and what sounds good. So let's meet Jessie. I really like her hair.
"Hello, Sarah. May I come in to visit?"
Sarah rose to her feet at once. "You're very welcome. Please, come inside." Jessie stepped into the room, then held out her skirt to drop a delicate curtsy in greeting.
"I know we have been introduced, but I wish to make your acquaintance more personally, and without Lavi listening in."
"Lavinia, I thought that you and she were the best of friends."
"Of course we are. I adore her. She's so classic, so elegant and focused. I admire her very much. However, sometimes it is nicer to do things for oneself. Are those real silk stockings you're wearing?"
Sarah blinked, caught unawares by the change of topic. "Yes, I have several pairs. My papa took me to many shops while he was in London."
"They're darling. Mine are only lisle cotton. May I see the pattern?"
Sarah sat down in her comfortable armchair, lifting the hem of her skirt slightly so that the floral embroidery over her ankle was visible.
What little feet you have! I never saw such little feet.
Are they small? She raised her leg a bit, pointing her toes and moving her foot this way and that. They seem the same size as they have always been, even though I know they must have been smaller when I was younger. I'm sure that Lottie's feet are smaller than mine, and Emily's, of course, are the smallest of all.
Emily?
Emily is the doll that my papa bought to be my companion. Ooh, you'll have to show me the music. That sounds really cool. I definitely want to take a listen to that music sometime. Maybe you gotta show me the music. I'll give it a listen to after this stream. That'll be really nice. Yeah. Sarah stood up and lifted Emily into her arms for Jessie to admire. Emily, this is Jessie Aboot, my new friend. The older girl dropped a beautiful curtsy, then laughed.
Oh, she has silk stockings too. Stockings for such teeny tiny feet. How cute.
But you do have small feet for your height, Sarah. I'm sure you do. Look at mine. Ah, yes. The only way to truly get to a woman's heart is by talking about her feet. I don't understand the appeal, but here we are. I hope this game is entertaining. I really enjoy it, but maybe it's a little slow and boring for some people, but I don't know, I'm finding it very relaxing. Jessie pressed her foot up alongside Sarah's for comparison. Oh, thank you. I'm hoping to do a lot more streaming. I actually kind of put in my 2 weeks so that I could start doing streaming hopefully full time. That would be a dream of mine if I could do that, because I tend to like playing video games and I feel super comfortable playing video games, and if that's what I could do with my life, doing something that I love and not feeling, pain from it, then I would love to do more of that. So that's why I want to try making this a full-time thing. Mabel has been so supportive. She's very sweet. She's letting me go out to try and do this, and I just love her so much. She gave me finger guns, with a chicken nugget in her mouth. So, I'm really glad you guys are enjoying this, and I'm glad it's calm and nice. I want it to be calm and nice. Jessie pressed her foot up alongside Sarah's for comparison.
I just don't know whether larger or smaller feet are better. For dancing, I mean. If you dance with a partner, small feet would be better to avoid being stepped on. And they look very stylish in slippers. Slippers are cute if they are smaller. But larger feet might be better for holding positions and standing on your toes. Small feet may not be as strong. Your feet have a good shape, though. They arch well. They're very pretty. Ugh.
I feel so bad, I know. Yeah. For her, it makes sense. Like, it is weird, but I know, like, it's more of a dancing thing for her. But yeah, that first scene, I'm always just sitting here like, wow, she really, likes feet. Can't relate. I had Mabel play this with me one time. I had her, this is one of my favorites. Yeah. So, Mabel went with this girl, and it was a very good story. I don't want to spoil anything in case people want to go with this route. I'm gonna kind of, again, leave it up to what you guys are feeling. I'm gonna try and get as much characters. Again, it says it's best to stick to 2 to 3 characters at most, but I think I can show a character for each just to see. But it'll be really nice, and if we have a chance, I would love to hear what you guys want to do. Alright, they are just very pretty. Can feet be pretty? Yeah, exactly, Sarah. My thoughts exactly. Then again, in 2020, there are plenty of people who think feet are pretty. There are plenty of people who would pay very highly, about as much of this room, to see a pic of feet. So, I guess you could say, yeah, feet can be pretty. Yeah, right? Same. Colonel Grain's little daughter Isabel in India was the prettiest girl I ever knew. All the gentlemen said she was the beauty of the regiment.
She had dimples and round, rose-colored cheeks, pale blue eyes, and long curling hair the color of gold, and everyone said those things were very pretty. No one ever spoke of her feet. I suppose if feet can be pretty, then perhaps I do have pretty feet. I know the rest of me is not. My hair is too black and straight and short. I am too thin, and my eyes are a strange color. Sarah, you look like an anime doll. You are literally the cutest thing ever. You're definitely very pretty. But Mabel's giving me like a sassy look. But it's just so funny to me. She's like, "Oh, I look so terrible," and I'm just sitting here like, "Girl, I wish I looked like you." Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You are the prettiest. You are the prettiest. Black hair is super pretty, and she has really pretty eyes. And that dress she's wearing is really cute. Ooh, Mabel, you in that dress would be so cute. I want to cosplay one of these characters one day. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted by cute girls and my girlfriend. Okay. My hair is too black and straight and short. I am too thin, and my eyes are a strange color. You do not have the same kind of beauty that dolls are made of, but that doesn't mean that you aren't pretty. I think you are quite interesting to look at. Sarah did not wish to contradict her new friend, who had no reason to lie, but her inner conviction that she was an ugly little girl could not be so easily dispelled. Will you show me the rest of your dolls and clothes? Do all of your petticoats have so many lace frills? Do you think any of them would fit me? I don't know. I suppose we can find out. And that was Jessie. It's the start of the new week. On Sunday morning, the students gathered in the entrance hall of Miss Minchin's Select Seminary. Girls, are you ready? Form up into a line behind Lavinia. Sarah, dear, it is our custom to walk to and from church every Sunday when the weather permits. That allows the horses a day of rest and ensures that students receive regular exercise. It is important to look your best when we are walking out among the public. We want our school to always leave a good impression. You should follow Lavinia's cues. She will show you what to do. Lavinia is always a model student. As if hearing her name, Lavinia smiled and tilted her head. You could learn a great deal from Lavinia, dear. And, as her father is also posted to India, the two of you should have much in common. I'm sure you will make close friends. Now, go and stand in line behind her. Babe, don't get spoilers. Let them decide for this all. Some people like the tsundere route. Sarah made her way to the front of the line, where Jessie and Lavinia stood close together. What are you doing? Go to the back. Miss Minchin told me to stand behind you. She said you were a model. Oh, very well then. But that's my place. You wouldn't want to disobey Miss Minchin, would you? No. We have to show our new girl how to behave herself in church. She may never have seen one before. Sarah thought it wisest to remain silent. But yeah, Lavinia's a bit of a bitch. Let's see. Let's do more writing in diary. Wait, tea party. I'm gonna keep this schedule and see what happens. Yay. Visiting. Reading. Dancing. Writing. I touched a church once. It took me a week to recover. A knock came at the door. Sarah? Sarah, dear? Yes, is there... Oh, hello. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Miss Minchin hissed through her teeth, and the young woman in the maid's uniform fell silent. Sarah, before he left, your father arranged for a maid to be employed especially for your needs. She has just arrived. I believe she is from France? Yes. Her name is Mariette, and she will be living in your rooms, helping you with your clothing in the morning and anything else you require. Please use her as your liaison with the staff. If you have need of food, send your maid rather than speaking to cook directly. And don't let her fool you. She does speak the Queen's tongue. She swept out of the room, leaving the maid and her new little missus blinking at each other in confusion. Bonjour, Mariette. Je m'appelle Sarah. Comment allez-vous? Please pardon my butchered French. I do not know French, so apologies. I'm gonna try my best, but it is probably not gonna sound anything close to the beautiful language that it is. Très bien, merci. And I am pleased to see that you are just as your papa described you. Oh, what did he say? That no other little girl is as solemn as you, and that you would make me smile. But why would being solemn make someone smile? Ah, it is your je ne sais quoi. It is you. Now, why don't you show me around your rooms? Alright. Yay! So we've unlocked 3 people now. And since this is the first time we get to pick, what is your guys's, who are you kind of interested in? Thank you. I'm just trying my best. I don't know any French by myself, but I think I could read it well enough. Oh, thank you. But yeah, so Jessie has unfortunately we don't have enough patience for Jessie. She's a little hard to deal with. We needed a break from all the feet talks, so we're gonna move on to somebody else for now. And again, I'm down to hear whoever. Again, like I said, there are 4 romantic characters, and then there are 2 platonic characters. And I think it's pretty clear who those will be. I don't think I have to spoil it, or it's gonna be a big spoiler. But Lottie and Mariette are obviously the more platonic relationships, while the other 4 that haven't been, Jessie, Lavinia, and these other 2 that haven't been unlocked yet, those are the romantic routes. So, okay, we got Lottie, but we also have Lavinia to kind of. So, what about you, Mystic Animal Lover, my friend Trinity, and Technomancer? Where do you guys wanna? Anyone seem interesting? Anyone you would like to hear me read more of? I guess I should say. And again, I don't want to sway the opinions, because I have a certain character that I definitely have my rankings of favorites to least favorite characters. But I'm not gonna say anything or try and sway any opinions. Lavinia. Ooh, okay, we got another Lavinia. Technomancer, does Lavinia sound good? Ooh, Mariette. Okay. I think we'll have enough time to try and at least see everyone's. But we had 2 votes for Lavinia, so let's do Lavinia first, and then we'll do Mariette next. Okay. Sarah knocked upon the door. It is Sarah Crew. May I come in? You may enter. Miss Minchin's model student was this day holding court in her rooms. It was a rather small court, consisting as it did of only one loyal follower, Jessie Aboot, but Lavinia's posture suggested no doubts about her right to rule. Hello, Lavinia, may I beg your pardon? Your pardon? That is not begging. Jessie tittered behind her hand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. No, it is evident that there are a great many things you do not understand. That is only to be expected, seeing that you have been raised in the savage outlands. However, here in England we observe manners.
Sarah was perplexed. It was not her desire to be unmannerly, but she could not immediately perceive what breach she had committed.
You are too forward, Miss Crew. I have not invited you to use my Christian name.
We have already been introduced.
Knowing one's name is not sufficient reason to use it. A friend would call me Lavinia. You and I are not yet friends.
I remember doing a much, more grating. Do you remember I kind of gave her a much more grating? I was like, do I want to, amp it up a little bit more to have more of that, Am I sounding different between my characters? Are they it's kind of hard when I'm trying to do an English accent because they all start to sound the same. So, is there a slight distinction? I'm trying to give her more of that pompous, ooh. But maybe I'm not going hard enough. Oh, thank you.
Oh, Lavi, she is very young. Children use names freely.
It was clear to Sarah that Jessie intended to demonstrate her own superior rank of friendship, not merely Lavinia, but a pet name.
How funny that it should be called a pet name when it is Jessie who acts more as the pet to Lavinia.
Damn, Sarah! Just throwing. She's gonna need savage. This girl's great. I love it. I love how she's so polite and proper, but then she has some of these just witty.
This is a school for young ladies. Even if she is young enough to be excused, she ought to practice. She will need all the polish that she can get. After all, Miss Minchin has set me to be her model. It is my responsibility to correct her mistakes. It is a silly game, these manners, but I do enjoy games.
She curtsied then, if only slightly.
I pray you will forgive me, Miss Herbert. I was too forward.
Lavinia waved her hand.
You are forgiven, of course. Now, what did you wish to speak with me about? Miss Minchin said that your father was stationed in India. I was curious where you had lived, whether we might have seen the same.
And now Lavinia held up her hand again.
I have no interest in discussing anything whatsoever to do with India. It is not a proper topic for polite conversation.
Sarah frowned. From the odd look on Jessie's face, she too seemed to find this answer disappointing.
Please understand, Miss Crew, we are here in London, under the shield of Her Majesty the Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Empress of India. Everything that matters in this world takes place within these miles. Trade within the city, government in Parliament, and society within the palace. India is a distant hitherland, filthy and rife with disease. It is a jungle out there.
Yes, there are jungles, but they're not any more filthy than London is. Nothing could be more filthy than London. Oh my god, I forgot how much I love Sarah. She is one of my favorite. Again, sadly, in the original books, I don't think this is an actual dialogue. It's most of the main story follows the book, along with some side elements of certain events for some of the characters. But a lot of the older characters, like these two, in the book she was a lot younger. And these two were older. They were the older kids, and she was kind of younger between two other girls. And so we didn't really get to see a lot of these two interact, except to be the kind of bitchy mean girls, the bitchy popular girls. And then after a certain point, we just stopped hearing from them altogether. So the thing I really like about this game is that we get to see more of these characters and get to see this more interaction. So even though it follows a lot of the beats of the main story, there's still all this extra stuff that sort of just enhances the story and just, in my opinion, makes it one of the best versions to read. Again, I might just be biased because it's gay and I'm gay and I like anything to do with romance and dating sims, but yeah, I find it really fascinating and really cool that these two got more dialogue and more development because they didn't have any development before, or not a ton, and they're a lot more developed. A proper lady expresses interest in India only to imagine the thrill of being made to briefly visit such a wild and terrible terrain. You should be very glad that you have escaped it. Thrills are exciting. Hush! Lavinia rubbed one hand over the other as if brushing away dirt. I hope I have made myself clear. We will not be discussing India here. However, I will be very pleased to aid you in learning the ways of the English, Miss Crewe. I am certain that is what Miss Minchin had in mind when she directed you to me. That is very kind of you. Not at all. It is my duty, and every good English man or woman is keen to do his or her duty. Like my papa, the soldier. Yes, if you must. I still don't understand why she refuses to speak about India. Wasn't she born there? She must know how lovely it can be. It was the beginning of another week of classes, and the students were seated neatly in rows in the schoolroom. Miss Minchin walked up and down between the desks, ensuring that each pupil's head was bowed to her particular lessons. She paused beside Sarah, a book in her hand. Now, Sarah, as your papa has engaged a French maid for you, I conclude that he wishes you to make a special study of the French language. I think he engaged her because he thought I would like her, Miss Minchin. I am afraid that you may have been something of a spoiled little girl, and as such you always imagine that things are done because you like them. It is a fault in you, and one that we must endeavor to train away. My impression, Sarah, is that your papa wished for you to learn French. I have never really learned to speak French, but that is quite enough. You have never learned, and so you must begin at once. The French master, Monsieur Dufrage, will be here in a few minutes. Take this book and look at it until he arrives. Dutifully, Sarah stared at the illustrated pages in front of her. Le père, the father. La mère, the mother. You look rather cross, Sarah. I am sorry you do not like the idea of learning French. I am very fond of it, but you must not say but when you are told to do things. Miss Boot, young ladies should not make dreadful snickering noises like a horse. Yes, Miss Minchin. Sarah, look at your book again. Yes, Miss Minchin. Les filles, the son. Les frères, the brother. Oh dear. Shortly after, Monsieur Dufrage arrived in the classroom. The French master was an elderly gentleman with a neatly trimmed mustache and beard, and hair that flew outwards in dramatic points. His eyes lit up when he caught sight of an unfamiliar little girl puzzling over a book of French phrases. Ah, is this a new pupil for me, madame? Her papa, Captain Crewe, is very anxious that she should begin the language, but I am afraid she has a childish prejudice against it. She does not seem to wish to learn. Thank you. I'm very sorry to hear that, mademoiselle. Perhaps when we begin to study together, I may show you that it is a charming tongue. Little Sarah rose in her seat. She was beginning to feel rather desperate. S'il vous plaît, monsieur, je ne peux pas lui faire comprendre. Again, apologies. I'm not good at French. I'm just trying to read it as best as I can. This is all me just trying to read it without hearing what it sounds like, so I'm very sorry.
She began to explain quite simply in pretty and fluent French. Madame had not understood. She had not learned French exactly, not out of books, but her papa and other people had always spoken it to her, and she had read it and written it as she had read and written English. Her papa loved it, and she loved it because he did. Her dear mamma, who had died when she was born, had been French. What? What on earth? What is she saying? Is this some form of joke? Ah, madame, there is not much I can teach her. She has not learned French. She is French. Her accent is exquisite. You ought to have told me. I tried. I suppose I did not begin right. Miss Minchin slammed her hand upon her desk. Silence, young ladies! Silence at once! And though the other students soon settled back into proper schoolroom behavior, Miss Minchin's lips remained tightly pressed together whenever she looked at Sarah. We have a lot of sympathy, so let's move from sympathy. What do we need? I can't help. What is it? Ooh, we need more patience. Yeah. Let's do more writing in the diary. Alright, let's try this. Write in diary. Yay! I was hoping for more patience. Yay! 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 Alright. If the French language fell naturally from Sarah's lips, there were other lips from which it seemed it could not escape at all, no matter how long the owner stared at her workbook. Le père, the father, la mère, the mother. To Ermengarde, it had seemed almost unbelievable that a girl of her own age could string together so many words of French as if they were mere trifles. Dismayed at her own failing, she was devoting more effort than usual to the trial of understanding her lessons. Her elbows rested on the desk, her hands under her chin, as she repeated the broken syllables under her breath. She stared so hard and bit the ribbon of her pigtail so fast that she attracted the attention of Miss Minchin, who, feeling extremely cross at the moment, immediately pounced upon her. Miss St. John, what is the meaning of such conduct? What? Remove your elbows, take your ribbons out of your mouth, sit up at once. Yes, Miss Minchin. Matters did not improve for St. Miss John when the French master himself arrived. Good bread, le bon pain? Kindly though he was, Monsieur Dufrage could not help but smile at her pronunciation. That is not quite correct. Écoutez bien, le bon bien. Le bon bien. Le bon bien? Girls, conduct yourselves. It isn't funny, really. They ought not to laugh. Poor thing. It was a way of hers always to want to spring into any fray in which someone was made uncomfortable or unhappy. However, there was no way for any hero to defend or rescue Ermengarde from the horrors of education. At least, not until the lesson period had concluded. Okay, and now we've gotten more, and I promised Technomancer that we would do Mariettes, so we will do that to begin with. And then from there, we will decide who to go next. Mariette, is it alright if I ask you a few questions about yourself? Bien sûr, mademoiselle. What do you wish to know? What is your family name? Miss Minchin did not say. Dumas, mademoiselle. Oh, Are you a relative of the great French writer, the author of the Three Musketeers? Mariette chuckled kindly. No, mademoiselle. Well, not in a close way I am not. There are many with the name of Dumas, and I cannot know what connections there are between all people. Do you know all of your cousins, and your cousins' cousins, and all who bear the name of Crew? I don't know anyone else named Crew except for myself and my papa. So you see, I cannot say who my relatives might be at some distance. Sarah nodded. Where in France do you come from? I grew up in Limoges. Yeah, sorry again about my butchered French. I grew up in Limoges. You may have heard of the Limoges box? Limoges box? The porcelain? Sarah shook her head. Ah, well, they were famous once. Perhaps they will be again. For now, like much of Limoges, they have faded. What is it like there? Ah, what is it like anywhere? It is a city. Not so large as Paris or London, no. Is it near Paris? No, pas tres port. No, pas tres port. It is in the south. You must rely on the railways to travel between them. All trains lead to Paris. Sarah tried to picture it. She did not know Limoges, but if it was in the south, then it must be warm and green, surely. She had seen paintings of France, stone houses, arches and bridges, rolling green hills, hanging vines, and sunlight, always sunlight, not the fogs of London. Limoges. Thank you. Limoges. It must be lovely. As you say, mademoiselle. How did you come to take this position? What I mean to say is my papa and I did not have a time to visit France, and I did not meet you until you came here. Did you meet my papa somewhere else? No, we have never met in flesh and blood. Your papa, he is a gentleman and knows many other gentlemen in fine cities like Paris. When it happened that he wished to appoint a maid, he wrote to this Paris gentleman, I think they would say it more like Perry. He wrote to this Perry gentleman to describe you. And I have a cousin who works for this Perry gentleman, and he thought of me, and so the arrangements were made. And I am glad that they were. Sarah smiled. The gentle warmth of Mariette's regards was very comforting for a little girl who had never been separated from her family and made to live in a far-off place. It was true that Mariette was, for the most part, only another stranger, like any other in Miss Minchin's seminary. They were only just beginning to know each other, and yet Mariette was not simply a stranger who might come and go, like the students. She was Sarah's maid, the beginnings of her very own household. She might, in time, be the closest thing to family. I wonder about the friend my papa has in Paris. I wonder if he knew my mother. Ooh, okay. Limoges. Gotcha, thank you. Did you see that darling little blue and yellow bird on the way back from church? It was only a blue tit, they're hopelessly common. I hadn't seen one before. They're country birds. They like trees, you don't see them so much in London. There must be many more birds in the country. Are there any birds in England that are blue all over? I don't think so. Are there bluebirds in India? Well, there are some birds with bright blue feathers, but not all over, and some birds that are blue all over, but only a bit blue. I thought that perhaps in England I might find the bluebird of happiness. What is that? I shall tell you. All of you, come up to my room and we shall have tea delivered. You shouldn't give orders to cook. It's not proper for a young lady to go into the kitchens. Oh, I won't go. My maid Mariette will fetch the tea for us. You have your own personal maid to bring you tea? Yes, my father arranged for her to come from France. Come and say hello. Well, shit. That's exactly what her face looks like. Sarah and her entourage were greeted at the door. Oh my, so many visitors. If it's all right, would you please bring tea for my guests, Mariette? Oui, mademoiselle. Mariette went at once to the kitchens to carry out her little mistress's orders. The head cook of Miss Minchin's Select Seminary looked up at Mariette's approach, her face as pinched as her dough. And now, what's this then? Afternoon tea for 4. Oh, is that all? I expect she'll be wanting fresh cakes too. Never mind that we haven't any made. Oh no, there are biscuits already. Never seen that stop one of those girls from wanting more, quick as you please. It is perhaps so with some, but not with my mistress. Elle est alliée d'une princesse. Si était petite, she thanks me for... I don't want to read it anymore. I'm so nervous. D'une princesse petite. She thanks me for my work just as if she were thanking a grand lady. Huh. Giving herself airs, you mean? As you wish it. Still, I am very pleased with my place. Now, the tea? Okay. I don't think I need to do anything sympathy-wise, so let's get rid of sympathy for a little bit. Yeah, no, it's okay, thank you. I tried my best. Play with toys, go for a walk, write in diary. What is it I don't need? I don't need sympathy so much anymore. But practice dance, read a book, practice dance, write in diary, play with toy. I need grace. What is grace? Oh. Let's go for a walk. Okay, let's try that. No, you're okay. That's really awesome that you can speak. Yeah, that you can pronounce that. It's, again, you're very perfectly fine. Thank you for listening to me butcher such a beautiful language. I appreciate the kindness you have showed me. Dancing. Reading. I love this little animation. So simple but so cute. Dancing. Writing. Right this way, dear Sarah. Lady Pitkin will be absolutely charmed to meet you. Yes, Miss Minchin? Where is she taking Sarah? Miss Minchin is showing her off to another visiting parent, or maybe a donor. I'm sure I wouldn't know. Dear Sarah was coming to the drawing room and talk to Miss Musgrave about India. Dear Sarah must speak French to Lady Pitkin. Her accent is so perfect. She didn't learn her French at this seminary, that's for certain. And there's nothing so clever in her knowing it. She says herself she didn't learn it at all. She just picked it up because she always heard her papa speak it. It's simply disgusting, the way Miss Minchin trots her out like an ornament. I can't imagine being so good at anything that Miss Minchin should want to show me off, especially French. Sarah is always imagining. She will no doubt grow up to be eccentric. There is one thing about her, though. She's never grand about herself the least bit, even though she easily might be. I believe I couldn't help being proud, just a little, if I had so many fine things and was made such a fuss over. A little? And Miss Minchin brought you in to curtsy for a mayor's wife. You would purr, just like Tybalt. Oh, Lavvy, don't be silly. Being a cat might be even nicer than being able to speak French, and every bit as likely for you. There's no use in waiting here for Sarah. She'll be at tea for hours, I'm sure. We may as well go on our way. Alright. Ooh, we have everybody. We could do technically everybody now, so I'm gonna go ahead
and hear what you guys think. Anyone catching, anyone you might want to? Anyone catching your interest? Yeah, being a cat wouldn't be nice. No more problems to worry about. I think I'd want to be a cat. Or a dog. Or a rat. Something simple. Ermengarde? Yeah. Alright, what about you, Technomancer and Trinity? What are you feeling? Fair. Ooh, more people for Ermengarde. Alright, perfect. Yeah! It's all in agreement. Ermengarde! Having made up her mind to befriend the unfortunate Ermengarde, Sarah first had to seek her out. Someone like Lavinia could be easily tracked from a distance by the sharp sound of her voice, or the drumming heels of little girls stampeding away from her presence. Ermengarde, however, kept largely to herself, and did not make a great deal of noise. Sarah found her at last, bundled rather disconsolately in a window seat. I really like German. That's a language I want to get better at learning. I find German to be very beautiful. A lot of people find it a very aggressive language, but I don't know. Something about German to me sounds just very pleasing to the ears. Let me take a quick sip so I can parch my throat, if that's okay. Forthright and... Yeah, it does. It sounds so cool. Forthright and fearless, Sarah walked over to offer a friendly greeting. Hello, what is your name? Her name, of course, was already known, as they had been introduced, however briefly, upon Sarah's arrival at the school. This was, however, the traditional thing that little girls always said to each other by way of beginning an acquaintance. The etiquette of children has its own observances. My name's Ermengarde St. John. Mine is Sarah Crew. Yours is very pretty. It sounds like a storybook. Do you like it? To understand why she fluttered so nervously, one must recall that a new pupil at school is, for a short time, a very uncertain thing. Cliques and friendships in a small environment can become very firmly set indeed, and leave no room for the excluded, no matter how many years might pass. To the friendless, then, a new student brings with her a breath of hope. Here is someone who is not yet claimed. Perhaps she will like me? And yet, as she is unknown, friendship may not be a possibility. A new girl can equally be snobbish or foolish or mean-spirited. The hope is always adulterated with fear. This pupil was even more noteworthy than most, for rumors about her had filled the school even before her arrival. She had her own carriage and her own maid. Her rooms were like no one else's. Her wardrobe was exquisite. She had the adventure of a voyage from India to discuss. It is no wonder that Ermengarde was somewhat tongue-tied upon being addressed. I like your name. She bit her lip and chagrin at her own stumbling. Sarah held out her hand, not as a grand lady might for a gentleman to touch it, but as if in greeting someone who was already a friend. After a moment's hesitation, Ermengarde took it. I'm very pleased to meet you. Me too. Oh, you should meet Emily as well. Who is Emily? Come up to my room and you shall see. All right. They jumped down from the window seat together and went upstairs. Is it true that you have a whole playroom all to yourself? I'm kind of trying to figure out Ermengarde's voice. I think I'm going to give her a slight more stuttery British tone, because again, I feel like I'm just slipping back into regular voice, so it's just me talking to me. It feels very back and forth. The ordinary pupils at Minchin Select Seminary had only small bedrooms of their own, enough space to sleep and dress and read if they were inclined, but for most activities they must venture out. Yes, Papa asked Miss Minchin to let me have one. She opened the door and beckoned to Ermengarde inside. See, this is the sitting room, through that door.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Sometimes, when I am playing, I make up stories about the things that I am doing and tell them to myself, and I don't like people to hear me. It spoils it if I think people might listen. Does that sound too selfish of me? I do tell stories for others as well. It is only that some stories, particularly new ones that I'm only just making up, are private. They are too delicate to be shared. Ermengarde had paused, her eyes wide.
You make them up? How? How can you do that?
Why, anyone can make up things. Have you never tried?
But where do the stories come from?
Inside my head. Don't you ever imagine things that might happen that haven't? You must have dreams when you sleep, at least. Ermengarde shook her head, her braids wobbling. I try not to think about things like that. They are too confusing. I try to think only about what I'm supposed to be learning at school. I try very hard, but it doesn't seem to help. Sarah found the concept of a girl with no imagination at all too difficult to grasp. Surely you must read storybooks about things that aren't real. Oh no, I hate to read. Seeing that this response disappointed Sarah, she fished for a better explanation. I don't read well. I can't concentrate. The words run together, and it's so hard to remember anything that I read in a book. I am meant to read a great many books for Miss Minchin's classes, but I get them all mixed up. When we read poems after history, I thought that Christabel was the daughter of the King of Spain. I don't want to read anything more than I absolutely must. I'll only make a muddle of it. And if I tried to make up a story, then how would I remember what was real and what wasn't? But it's good that you can. What if you read stories about fairies or dragons? Surely you wouldn't get those confused with things at school. But I might. You are very like a fairy. You are very, and you are here at school. I'm sorry. I'm very dull and slow. Everyone says so. I understand if you do not wish to spend any more time with me. Sarah patted Ermengarde on the shoulder in a companionable fashion. Everyone is different. I am only sorry that it means I cannot share my favorite books with you. I have so many favorites that I love, and I wish that you could love them too. Oh, I have an idea. Perhaps if I read them to you, then you would not get them confused with other books? I don't know. Hesitantly, she smiled. But I could try. Good. Good. I don't want to hang out with somebody who can't read. Yeah. Well, babe, I don't know if anyone's told you this, but this game is a little gay. Just saying. Stay together now, girls. Keep in line and don't step in any puddles. Just because church is over is no excuse to soil your nice dresses. The air smells very different when it has rained. It still smells like London. There are too many people and chimneys and horses. I keep lavender sachets in my room so that I can smell the gardens, even when I'm away from home. They're not much. My Aunt Eliza sent me the flowers. I stitched them myself. We have lavender in India, too. Oh, but isn't lavender an English flower? I thought everything in India would be saffron and spices. Perhaps the British soldiers brought lavender with them so they could smell the gardens, too. Do you think that soldiers could be homesick? Yeah, languages are cool. It's crazy. I wish I had grown up learning more languages. I feel so, mad at myself that I didn't get to learn more languages, that we didn't have more options in school to learn languages. I think it would have been really cool if we had more choices to choose from.
Do you think that soldiers could be homesick?
Of course, soldiers must be very brave and bear all sorts of dangers and hardships, but that doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. And we must be brave too, even when we are far away from the homes and the people that we love. A carriage passed alongside Miss Minchin's students as they walked, seemingly packed to the walls with children. 8 of them, siblings all, and such a giggling mass of blonde girls and rosy cheeks as Sarah had never seen before. Their merriment was infectious, and Sarah found that a smile had come unexpectedly to her face. As such, it came as a slight shock when the carriage moved along and revealed a sight previously hidden on the other side of the street. A little beggar child in a heap of rags, too dirty for Sarah to tell if it was a boy or a girl. Pricked by the sight, Sarah stepped out of line and carried her little corn purse to the child.
Sarah, wait, where are you going?
Here's the 6pence. Go and buy yourself something warm. She hurried back into formation, but not before her steps were noticed by Miss Minchin.
Sarah Crewe, you must stay in line. If you go rushing off, you will put yourself at risk.
I should not like to tell your father that you were struck down by a cab horse in the road. I only wish to... Generosity is a virtue, but it is not wise or safe to come in close contact with creatures of the streets. You must be careful to clean yourself thoroughly when we return to the school. You might get the corona. Yes, Miss Minchin. Sarah looked back, but the beggar child had already disappeared from sight. How strange that one child should be hungry and dirty on the streets, while another rides in a fine carriage and knows nothing but joy and laughter. And all these things happen quite by accident, because of the way that we are born. Alright, now we're high on artistry. Let's go back to tea parties, writing in diaries, practice dance, writing diary, and go for a walk. We'll do that. Yay. Visiting, writing, dancing, damn, writing. Let's see. Even from a distance, there was no mistaking Lottie's shrill little voice. I want to hold the kitty. Don't be ridiculous. Sarah came into the room to find Lavinia perched primly in a window seat, looking down at the smaller child, whose lip was beginning to wobble. Tybalt is in my lap, and he is perfectly content there. Listen, you can hear him purr. That is because I am stroking him, and he likes me. I want to hold the kitty. Keep your sticky little fingers away from his fur. Lottie's brow furrowed in fierce determination. Ignoring Lavinia's command, she reached out to pick up the cat. Lavinia slapped Lottie's hand away. The sudden movement jolted Tybalt out of his comfortable doze. With a parting squeeze of his claws, he leapt from Lavinia's legs and hurried out of the room. Now look what you've done, you little brat! He scratched me, and if he's damaged my dress, it scratched you because you're mean. You wouldn't even let me touch it. It isn't fair, it isn't. A cat is not a rag doll. You cannot snatch and tug at it as you please, or bite your hand. Is that too difficult for a child of 8 to understand? She cannot help being younger any more than we can help being older. If she is 8, she is 8, but she will be 9 the next year, and 10 the year after that, and in 12 years she will be 20. And that is quite grand. Dear me, how we can calculate. I don't want to be 20. Same, kid. You will be when you are, and you won't be while you aren't, so there is no reason to want or not to want.
No, no, no! Be quiet, or else I slap your face. You mustn't. Lottie looked into Lavinia's blazing eyes, then ran from the room, wailing at the unfairness of it all. You ought not to baby her, Sarah. She must learn that she can't have everything her own way. Privately, Sarah thought that Lottie was not the only student at the school who might need to learn that lesson. Alright, oh, we have everyone again. So, are we kind of setting in onto who we think we might want to, like, again, this is the part I would say it's best to start focusing on certain characters. We still have time, we have a lot of time, but as we get nearer. Emengard? Alright. Anyone else have any? Anyone else feeling anything? Anyone else want to try anyone else? Or are we still feeling that Emengard? Okay. Alright. Since, again, that's 2. How many people? 2 views. Yay! Sounds good. Okay. Says I have 2 viewers in the chat right now. But there's 3 people talking. Is that a... I don't understand. I don't know if that's... Is 2 viewers just like 2 people watching but not saying anything? Or... Huh. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys are having fun. Thank you guys so much for literally being with me and just enjoying this with me. I'm having a great time and I'm just... fair. That's fair. So just, you know, gotcha. I'm really thankful that everyone's here. And if there are more people here watching and just chilling, then I'm very happy you're here too. I'm glad that this is one of my favorite games, and it's just very simple and quiet. And I would love, I don't know, I might want to do a stream of all of them. Of course, when I play this again, I'll probably skip a bunch of the big story beats, because the main story doesn't change after a certain point. It's only when you click on these characters that different dialogue happens. So I think for the first time, if I decide, I'm going to stick and read the entire story all the way through. And then when we get, if I decide to do this again and stream this one again, I might just go and, you know, rush through it. Or who knows, maybe I'll just keep reading it over and over so you can hear me just keep making weird voices every time. And see how much I sound how much Lavinia sounds in the beginning versus how much you sound at the end. Alright, Emengard, let's go. Emengard sat contentedly on the floors of Sarah's room, listening to her read from one of her storybooks. And then he offered to take her away to his father's court, where he would make her his bride. The maiden adored the prince, whose company had charmed her for so many hours, but she could not bear to leave her sisters without first telling them farewell. She bade the prince to leave, and return again in the next day to the place in the woods where they had met. Sarah did not read the words exactly as they were written, but put her own little touches upon the story to make it turn out the way that she preferred. It was not quite the same as telling her own stories, but Emengard still seemed nervous at the idea of stories that had not come from books at all. It was a first step. Once she had gone, she rushed back to her home to take up her work at the wheel, planning to spin twice as fast to cover for her absence. But when she sat down at the wheel, she was dismayed to find that her magic gold thread had lost all of its brightness. Her heart beat fast, and she wept bitterly, for she remembered her mother's warning, and knew not what misfortune might now befall her. She was so afraid that she would be punished for what she had done, that she ran away without telling anyone what had happened, not even her beloved sisters. She ran through the woods looking for her prince, but he was on horseback, and long since gone. And while she ran, she did not watch where she was going, and so she tripped over a root and fell into a rushing river, disappearing into the swift current. Thus the misfortune was complete. She drowned? Not quite. Sarah continued her story.
how the maiden was transformed into a golden water lily who sang in her sorrow, and how she was at last restored to life by the love of her sisters. Ermengarde sighed in contentment.
When I hear stories in your voice, I can almost see them happen. You are much better than books. But what about the prince? Doesn't he marry her in the end? He rode over the bridge by the river and heard her singing, but he didn't do anything to save her. It was her sisters who loved her enough to look for her when she was lost. I thought princes were always heroes. Anyone could be a hero, in the right circumstances.
I don't think I could. Ermengarde looked around Sarah's room, decorated as it was with the best of at least 3 countries, dependable England, refined France, and exotic India.
Do you miss being in India, Sarah?
Yes, of course. It was my home, and I was happy there. I had my house, and my pets, and my ayah, and the skies were never foggy and gray like they are here in London. I loved living there. But I love it most of all because it is where my papa will be. Ermengarde saw Sarah's face suddenly change. A cloud seemed to pass over it and put out the light in her shining eyes. She drew her breath in so sharply that it made a funny, sad little sound, and then she shut her lips and held them tightly closed, as if she was determined either to do or not to do something.
Have you a pain?
There was a moment of silence in which Ermengarde worried that she might have spoken out of turn, but at last Sarah answered, "Yes, but it is not in my body." Her voice was low and somewhat unsteady. "Do you love your father more than anything else in the whole world?" Ermengarde's mouth fell open a little. She knew that it would not be correct for a respectable child at a select seminary to say that she did not adore her father, could not imagine being ever so much as fond of him.
I scarcely ever see him.
In fact, she did her very best to avoid being left alone in his company for more than a few minutes. It was not a proper feeling for a daughter, perhaps, and it was clearly not something that Sarah would understand. Ermengarde was indeed greatly embarrassed. "He is always reading in the library, reading things." There was a wealth of information in that statement if Sarah had been inclined to decipher it, but she was too preoccupied with her own feelings. "I love mine more than all the world 10 times over. That is what my pain is. He has gone away." She put her head quietly down on her little huddled-up knees and sat very still for a few minutes. Ermengarde had an idea that if she had been like any other little girl, Sarah might have suddenly burst out sobbing and crying. But she did not. Her short black locks tumbled about her ears, and she sat still. Then she spoke without lifting her head. "I promised him I would bear it, and I will. You have to bear things. Papa is a soldier, and think what soldiers bear. If there was a war, he would have to bear marching and thirstiness and perhaps deep wounds, and he would never say a word, not one word." Ermengarde could only gaze at Sarah, but she felt that she was beginning to adore her. She was so wonderful and different from anyone else. Presently, Sarah lifted her face and shook back her black locks with a queer little smile. "If I go on talking and talking, I shall bear it. If I go on talking and talking, I shall bear it better. You don't forget, but you bear it better."
I will talk to you as much as you like, if it helps you."
It's very sleepy music.
"Would you like to sit in front of the mirror while I brush your hair, mademoiselle?"
I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this game by tonight. My throat is starting to hurt a little, so I might get to the end of part 1. Mabel, you kind of remember the end of part 1, right? You kind of remember where there was like a shift of like the story where I might go until then, because I've been recording for almost an hour and 30 minutes, and I can definitely play longer, but I know Mabel has to go to bed by 10, and again, this is very fun to play through, enjoying it so much, but it's also a lot of my voice, and I want to do some more streaming tomorrow too, so maybe I'll finish this up, and then maybe I'll play something else a little more quieter. Yeah. we'll see. We'll see how my throat is doing. It's also more just about how my throat feels at the end of all this. Would you sit in the mirror? Would you like to sit in front of the mirror while I brush your hair, mademoiselle? Oh, I don't think so. Not by the mirror. You see, it is nice to sit and think while you run the brush through my hair. Sometimes I remember stories, or think of things I want to say to someone else. Other times it helps me relax. It must be like that for Tybalt, when someone is petting him. But if I were looking into the mirror, then the Sarah in the mirror would be looking back at me, and we should have to pay attention to each other, or else we might be thought impolite. Mariette laughed in the back of her throat. That is as you wish. I had thought of doing something different with your hair, and if you could see, then you would know more quickly if you thought yes or no, and I could change it if you did not like it. Well, I think that it's better to look at it when it's finished. If you stop reading the book in the middle, you might have the wrong idea of what it's all about. And then I will show you when I am done. Mariette is so kind. I would be terribly lonely in these rooms without her. The school is full of other girls, but they are, like me, guests of Miss Minchin. We live in the same house, but they are not part of my household. Mariette is the only person who belongs to me. It is nice to sit and think while she brushes my hair, and she has a better way with it than my old Aya did, but I do miss my papa so. Ooh, yay, congrats, babe! Was it the, five,
It was the beat a boss in 10 seconds.
oh, Maple said she did the one with the beat a boss in 10 seconds. I'm really proud, I'm really glad, babe. Yay! If he were here, if he were coming to visit me as some girls' parents do, how happy my life would be. I wonder where my papa is now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak. No, it is good, mademoiselle. You should speak your thoughts. Your father sailed many weeks ago. By now he is in India, yes? Home and safe, and thinking how different the house seems without your footsteps. Oh, I don't want to think of him sad and lonely. It is right that he misses you, and that you miss him. That is how things should be. But that does not mean your life is nothing but sadness, does it? No, I do not think I am melancholy. I would not wish to be. I enjoy my books and my friends. So you see, your papa, he will be lonely, but he will also feel other things. He will live his life, but he will also think of you. I believe you will hear from him soon. Oh, I hope you are right. No, you must be right. My papa will write me letters as soon as the ships can carry them, and I will treasure his words. And I do hope, that my papa has a friend to care for him, as Mariette cares for me. Okay, we need a lot more patience, so we might just go ahead and just do a bunch of writing in the diaries and hope we get some patience out of that. I got a lot of shit to say. There's a lot of pretty girls, and I gotta put them all down in my journal. Yeah, that is you a bit, babe. Especially when we're gaming together, and how I like to, kind of look around and just check everything out, and you're just like, I just want to go. I know where to go. Babe, let me go. While Sarah was walking through the school, she heard a great commotion coming from a nearby room. The first high-pitched shriek made her startle, concerned that one of the younger girls might have injured herself. Sarah was a quiet and solemn girl herself, but made no judgment against those whose temperaments led them to cry out loudly when they were in pain. However, the wailing went on and on, more angry than miserable, and the voice was recognized as Lottie's. Sarah came closer and began to make out the accompaniment of frustrated adult that had been drowned out by childish tantrum. What are you crying for? There's nothing wrong with you. I haven't got any mama. Stop crying, for heaven's sake. Haven't got any mama. You are to be whipped. You shall be whipped if you do not hush, you naughty child.
Lottie wailed more loudly than ever. Miss Minchin emerged from the room, her hands pressed to the sides of her head, and paused when she saw Sarah lingering outside. "Oh, dear Sarah." Miss Minchin's attempt at producing a friendly smile was not at all convincing. Lottie's roars continued unabated, and each burst of sound made Miss Minchin's shoulders twitch. I stopped because I knew it was Lottie, and I thought perhaps I can make her be quiet. May I try, Miss Minchin? I'll take care of it. Zzz. Pulls out a sword. She won't be crying for long. If you can quiet that, you are a clever girl. Dreadful thing, we may not be able to keep her. What is she, a dog? That's you're being paid to keep her. You don't have a choice. But you are clever in everything, my dear. I dare say you can manage her. Go in. When Sarah entered the room, Lottie was lying upon the floor, screaming and kicking her small, fat legs violently. Sarah stood by the howling, furious child for a few minutes, and looked down at her without saying anything. Then she sat down flat on the floor beside her and waited. Except for Lottie's angry screams, the room was quite quiet. This was a new state of affairs for Lottie, who was accustomed to hearing other people protest and implore and command and coax her by turns. To find that the only person near her did not seem to mind in the least how she kicked and screamed was unusual, and made it necessary for her to pause her sobbing in order to see what was going on. She opened her tight, shut, streaming eyes to see who this person was, and found that it was only another little girl. But it was the one who owned Emily and all the nice things. Sarah looked at Lottie quite curiously, but said nothing. Lottie sucked in a gulp of air, but the noise she made sounded rather half-hearted. I haven't any mama. Neither have I. Lottie blinked rapidly at this unexpected answer. Her legs and arms ceased their kicking and lay flat against the floor. Where is your mama? She went to heaven, but I am sure she comes out sometimes to see me, though I don't see her. So does yours. Perhaps they can both see us now. Perhaps they are both in this room? Here? Lottie sat bolt upright and looked around. Seeing nothing, her face began to scrunch up again. We can't see the people who live in heaven, even when they come to visit us. They travel like wind or sunlight. You can only feel them for a moment if they touch you, and then they're gone. They can go anywhere in an instant, but most of the time they stay up above. Their land is full of lilies, fields and fields of lilies, and when the soft wind blows over them, it wafts the scent of them into the air. And everybody always breathes it, because that soft wind is always blowing. Wind and sunlight, and the streets are always shining. And little children run about in the lily fields and gather armfuls of them, and laugh and make little wreaths to wear on their heads, or spin cloaks and dresses of soft lily petals. The petals never go dry or brown, but when the children grow tired of them, they toss the petals into the air, and they turn into clouds. Lottie had by now quite forgotten to cry, and was leaning forward, hanging on every word that Sarah spoke. In that shining city, people are never tired, however far they walk. They can float anywhere they like. And there are walls made of pearl and gold all round the city, but they are low enough for the people to go and lean on them, and look down onto the earth and smile. From those walls sometimes they dance down to visit us. Other times they whisper beautiful messages into the wind, and hope that someday we will hear them. Oh, I want to go there. I haven't any mama here. Sarah saw the danger signal and took hold of Lottie's hand with a coaxing little laugh. I will be your mama in this school. We will play that you are my little girl, and Emily shall be your sister. Shall she? Yes, let us go and tell her, and then I will wash your face and brush your hair, and both of us shall have a little bit more family. Yes! I can take you to your mom. Shh! I feel bad because I wouldn't be Miss Minchin, but I would definitely, like, be done with Lottie if I heard her crying. I'd be like, nope, goodbye. I would not have the patience to sit and listen to a child, like, 5 feet in front of me scream her head off. I don't know. Looks like we can do everyone again, so I'm assuming Emengard once more. That's where it seems. Give me a quick second. I need to... Boop. BRB.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Thank you so much for your patience. I am back. Let us return to the game. Okay. So, Emengard. And we have enough patience! Yay! I'm glad we took all our time into patience. This time, it was Sarah who was curled up near a window when Emengard found her. Sarah, I wanted to ask you something, if you're not busy. Sarah raised her head and smiled. Only Emengard would realize that I might be busy when I am sitting and thinking. You can always ask me things. She paused, then added, I can't always answer, though. I might not know. Well, is it true that Miss Minchin has you to tea with visitors, just so that you can speak French for them? Oh, well, I don't know if that is the only reason. I often do not say very much, and she still keeps me there for the rest of it. Some of her visitors are not very interested in French at all. Some of them prefer poetry or want to tell me how they themselves saw India once upon a time. But sometimes, yes, Miss Minchin has guests who speak French and wishes me to converse with them. You really can speak it then, not just a few words or a sentence you memorize. Emengard's respectful tone made Sarah feel a bit off balance. She tucked up her feet, sat with her hands clasped round her knees. I can speak it because I have heard it all my life. You could speak it too if you had always heard it. Oh no, I couldn't. I could never speak it. Why not? Emengard shook her head so that the pigtails wobbled. You haven't heard me before. I'm always like that. I just can't say the words. They're so queer. And I'm not queer. Not yet. I dare say that little French girls think the same things about English if they try to learn the language for the first time, but if you had heard it as a child... But I did! Yeah. Very much. We are very much... This is a very cute, queer little game. We are little lesbians on an adventure of epic proportions, of tiny romance. My father, he speaks 7 languages, or maybe 8, I forget. I forget everything. I always have. My father never forgets. He has libraries with thousands of volumes in them, and he knows every one of them by heart. He says that when I was very young, he used to speak to me in different languages every day because he hoped that I would learn them all. But it only made me cry. My nursemaid made him stop because he was afraid that he would confuse me so much I would give up on talking altogether. I heard it from her that he says I am a severe trial because he is so very clever, and I am notably and unmistakably dull. I'm the monumental dunce of the school. I can't speak French. I can't recite poems without flubbing the words. My handwriting is too big and lumpy. I can't calculate quickly. I can't keep my kings straight. I'm not good at anything. But you are. You are clever, aren't you, Sarah? The question was asked with a touch of awe in her voice. It made Sarah feel slightly odd to be the subject of such open admiration. Sarah looked out of the window in the dingy square, where the sparrows were hopping and twittering on the wet iron railings and the seedy branches of the trees, and reflected a few moments. People have often said that I am clever, but am I? And if I am, then how did I come to be that way?
I don't know. I can't tell. I think that you are. I think you're wonderful. Ermengarde did not know why a lump came into her throat and her eyes felt as if tears were in them. Lavinia and Jessie are best friends. I wish we could be best friends. I wish we could be gal pals. You're clever, and I'm the stupidest child in the school, but I do so like you. I like you could say. Just gals being pals. You know what I'm saying? No, not really. I'm glad of that. It makes you thankful when you are liked. I'm glad of that. It makes you thankful when you are liked. She stood up from the window and took Ermengarde's hands in hers. Yes, we will be friends. The very best of friends. The very gallest of pals. And I'll tell you what else. A sudden gleam lit her face. I can help you with your French lessons. Sarah, no. You can try. That's not how the friendship works. Yeah, could I do Ermengarde if we were to cosplay these characters? I would very much love to do Ermengarde. She's chubby like me. Very squish. Ooh, yeah. Girls, gather around if you please. I don't talk good, also, as we've established in some of my videos, so I probably would be perfect for Ermengarde, because I tend to, it's weird. I can be very articulate in my writing, but when I talk, I sound, word hard. Too much in brain, cannot speak. Sometimes I feel like Ermengarde, there are certain things, I don't know. We will be welcoming a special dance instructor today who is visiting us from France. She will be leading you in exercise to increase your grace and posture. Go and change into your leotard-style dancing costumes. She swept off to her office, and the girls clustered eagerly together. A special dance instructor? Do you suppose she might be from the Ballet de l'Opéra de Paris? The Ballet of Opera? The Paris Opera Ballet, of course. The absolute birthplace of romantic ballet. And they go all the way back to the court of the Sun King. Oh, I'm not so fond of ballet as you are. No one is as fond of ballet as Jessie. It is a sickness with her. Begone, thought! I wonder if there really is a sickness that could make you like one thing or one person more than another. And if there were, would anyone wish to be cured? Such things you imagine. In any event, it might not be ballet. She is a special instructor, after all. Perhaps we will be permitted to practice social dances. Perhaps even the waltz. My father says the waltz is shocking. Watching you attempt to perform it no doubt would be. If we were allowed the waltz, I will be dancing with Jessie. Oh, perhaps we had better go and get our costumes? Ermengarde is very sensible. It took only a little praise as that to make poor Miss St. John look pleased. The dancing lesson did not progress quite as anyone expected. Yeah. Jessie is very much like, dancing? Are we dancing now? But father, I just want to dance. The dancing lessons did not progress quite as anyone expected. I do not see how this can be described as dancing. It is preparation for dancing. We are learning to stretch and relax our bodies so that we may move more beautifully. It's French. Sarah, is this the way things are usually done in France? I have never asked Mariette where she took dancing lessons. I just love Lottie in the back. Just very much like me. That's why Jessie's blushing. She's getting to look at all these feet. It's weird. In the picture, she looks like she has smaller feet than Sarah. Like in the drawing, she looks like her feet look tinier, but I get that's just perspective. Yeah, oh, the pictures are so cute. I love the little chibi style. Because Technomancer wrote feet. And so I noticed that, and I had to comment. I like their little cute leotards. It matches the color of what they're like, sort of like their favorite color in their dresses. Oh, this game is very gay. It's super cute. It's based off of an old childhood book, Hermes. It's basically like based on A Little Princess by Francine Hodgson Burnett, but it has a little twist to it because it is also a Yuri visual novel, little dating sim, and I'm really excited that you could drop in and check with us. And so this is very exciting. We're doing Ermengarde's route, it seems like. But feel free to, if you at any point want to, we can try looking at some other characters. We could focus on at least 2 characters before the end and see if we like one. But, yeah, game is very gay. Very gay, very good. I've never asked Mariette whether she took dancing lessons. I want to walk on my hands. Leave your hands on the floor long enough and Ermengarde will trot on them for you. Ah! Jessie, be careful, you are tickling me. The instructor said it was imperative that we rub deeply to warm our muscles. To speak of muscle upon a lady is very unseemly. Your hands are very strong, Ermengarde. Oh, did I hurt you? No, not a bit. It feels nice. It is a little like having my hair brushed. It makes me feel like a cat, being petted. I want to be a cat. I want to dance like a cat. Cats don't dance. They dance at the court of the King of Cats and the musical Cats. But that musical's not going to be out for a very, very long time. I'm pretty sure this is the 1800s. How do they dance, Sarah? Do they stand on their hind legs? Well, girls, cease chattering and get ready for your lessons. Yes, Miss Minchin. Okay, let's see. I think I can keep doing. Let's see. What is belief? Belief is that, and vigor is writing diary, and then let's try and get a little vigor. How do we get play with toys? Go for a walk. Tea party. Let's do tea party, and then practice dance. Let's see if we can get some more vigor going. Yay! Writing. Yeah, writing. Cats Don't Dance is a musical movie cartoon, but also the musical Cats is a musical. Ooh, we got a lot of sympathy and a lot of belief. We are very sympathetic. We are very sympathetic little lesbians, which is just how I want to be known, as a sympathetic little lesbian. Are you well, ma petite? Yes, I am only feeling a little tired. The days have been growing warmer, but the air never feels the same way that it did in India. I suppose Ermengarde is right, and it is the smell of London. Even if I cannot distinguish one scent above the other that would mean London, it must always be there, as I am. Bon courage, mademoiselle. I have something here which will brighten your day. A letter from Papa? Oh, merci, Mariette. Merci beaucoup. She did not open it at once, but pressed the envelope to her chest. My papa has sent this. It has been in his hands. If a letter can come from his hands into mine, then we are never so far apart. At last she took out the paper and began to read. My dear little missus, here I am once again in Bombay. I have little to tell you of my adventures, for no sooner did I reach my home than I began thinking of you and putting pen to paper. Therefore, I have seen little since I left you other than ships, and you remember those. Sarah closed her eyes and let herself remember the voyage from India, the big ship, the Lascars passing silently to and fro on it, the children playing about on the hot deck. There had been a woman on board, the wives of some young officers, who had invited Sarah to take tea with them and delighted in making her speak her unusual thoughts. But most importantly, there had been her papa. I felt it important to write to you at once so that you would not worry about your poor old papa. All alone on the ocean, all is well. I am returned, and life here is remarkably unchanged in my absence. Now, it is your duty to let me know all that has happened since I left you, all the new friends you have made, the books you have read, and the sights you have seen in London. Do you remember Colonel Grange and his little girl Isabel? In a year she will be old enough that she must leave for England as well. I am relying on your advice to tell her what to expect in her schooling. Give my regards to Emily and any companions she may have acquired. Yours always, your loving Papa. Sarah held the letter in her hands, already beginning to imagine the many things she might write in response. I love you too, Papa. Everyone's open again. I know there's one character that we're still missing, but she comes later. But as of now, I'm assuming we'll go on to Ermengarde. Do we want to see anyone else very quick? Do we want to, or do we just want to keep going with Ermengarde? What do you want, Hermes? Since you're here, I would love to hear if there's anyone you would like to see.
I vote for Ermengarde.
Fair enough. What about design-wise? Just by the design, who looks the cutest of the chibis? We'll definitely go back to Ermengarde, but I do want to see if there's anyone. And if not, Jessie. Mabel's just screaming in the corner, trying to make me pick. It's okay. I hope I'm not being too pressury or anything. We can go on, and if you ever decide, that's fine. So, yeah, ooh, Jessie maybe? Okay. Let's do Jessie for one, so we can at least see Jessie. That afternoon, Jessie came to Sarah's room for tea. The tea itself, though, seemed to hold little interest for her. I was hoping you could tell me more about your life in India. It all sounds very interesting and different to me. I was only learning the ways that it was different by being here. My papa and I lived in a bungalow that was as large as this school, but wide rather than tall. There was a veranda where we could sit in the breeze and watch the sunset. The summers are so hot that many children of British parents become ill, so we were taken away to the hill stations, which are towns in the mountains near lakes, where it is cooler. I had many toys and pets and servants that would salam to me and call me Miss Sahib. I suppose that is because we are rich, but it is all the life that I knew. Did you ride elephants and camel leopards and tigers? I have never seen a camel leopard. There are elephants in India, of course, but they are mostly used to carry heavy equipment, or for rajas to ride in parade. I have seen them, but I've never ridden one, and tigers are too dangerous to see up close. Anyone who tried to ride one would be clawed and eaten. They attack villages sometimes and carry off the native children, you know. It's terrible. One even attacked the outpost my papa was stationed at, and he had to shoot it to defend the citizens. How exciting! He is very brave. I miss him so. I hope he does not do anything too brave while I'm not there to look after him. Was it very frightening, traveling so far? No, there was many other people in the ship with us. It was strange and not so comfortable as this room, but it did not feel dangerous. It would have been much harder if my papa were not with me. When young boys are sent back to England, they are sometimes made to travel with a regiment and no family at all. A pleasant companion makes a great deal of difference. You should always have one. Jessie pressed her hands together in her lap, the motion giving a shy lift to her shoulders. I would very much like to travel the world when I am older, but I don't know if I will ever have the chance. Do you think you will travel, Sarah? Well, I do want to return to India as soon as I am old enough, and I think I should like to visit France someday. I haven't thought of it beyond that. It is a very big world. I suppose it would be a shame to live one's entire life in only a small part of it. Jessie gently swirled the liquid inside her teacup, her eyes locked on the little ripples and waves. Some people feel that London is the center of the world, and that once you're here, there is nowhere better in all the world for you to go. Why would you want more than perfection? I'm sure London is very nice, but the cup trembled in Jessie's hands. Oh, I'm sorry, I spilled a bit of tea. How silly of me. Please, tell me more stories about India. All right. That was Jessie. Just a little. Hist! I think I can hear Sarah coming. Quickly, step aside. Don't let her see us. But what? Shh! Levy took hold of her friend's shoulders and pushed her back against the wall. Wait a moment. There, she's gone. Why are we avoiding Sarah? Ever since she got that letter, it's been nothing but India this and India that. If I have to hear her say that word again, I'm afraid the hair will fly right off my head. I like her stories. Do you know her father has faced down a tiger? He shot the one whose skin Sarah has in her room. That's why she likes it so. She lies on it and strokes its head and talks to it as if it were a cat. That is simply disgusting. If it were a cat, it would be one that he had killed. What next? Will she drown Tybalt and then have him stuffed for a pillow? I don't think it's the same thing at all. Sarah says the tiger was attacking an outpost, and he had to shoot it. Sarah tells stories, you know that. Well, I think her father sounds very interesting, and so does India. It's a filthy, disgusting place, rank with foul humorous, and don't you forget it. Come along now. All right. Lavinia led, and Jessie followed. All right. I really need more patience, which they are not. They are giving me no patience. My child has no patience. Let's go. We're just gonna do a ton of patience. Ready. Writing. Writing. Sympathy. Visiting. Writing. Yay! Ermengarde, what do you have there? A new book? The plump girl sighed, showing none of the delight Sarah would have found in such a possession. My father sent it to me to be enriching. I don't see how books have made me any richer so far. May I see it? She took the volume from Ermengarde's hand and examined the cold gold lettering on the cover. Poemes Antiques by Le Comte de Lizel, a book of French poetry. Sarah's excitement only deepened the other girl's dismay. Would you like me to read it with you? I'm certain that if... Oh, what's this? Oh, Sarah, you have a new book. French poetry, very improving. As long as it isn't one of those shocking new decadent poets, a proper lady should not read such works. I'm sure it's nothing of the sort. What would you know about it? I was speaking to Sarah. Actually, the book belongs to Ermengarde. What? Don't be silly. She can't even read it. Ermengarde grabbed the book. It's mine. She turned and walked away. You ought not to tease her so. I didn't say anything that isn't true. What good is a book of French poetry to someone like her? Such a waste. She'll probably never even open it. She should have simply given it to you. Admit it. You know that I am right. You may be right, but it was a gift from her father. I'm sure she will treasure it. Not every girl is as devoted to her father as you seem to be, Sarah Crew. Some of us have daddy issues.
Okay. Back to Emmengard? Oh, when me and Mabel played this, we definitely went through Jesse's route, and I'm definitely down again in the future to probably play some more versions of this and go through maybe all the routes. But it seems like for most of us, we're on the train of Emmengard. So, does that sound good to everyone? Back to Emmengard. Oh my gosh, it's already I've been doing this for 2 hours. Yay. Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm not steamrolling anyone into a certain route. So if there's anyone who would like to see, again, I do say that as we get further and further, we do want to start to focus on one character so we can see their full story. But I definitely don't want to steamroll anyone. So, alright, everyone's like, get back to Emmengard. Sarah and Emmengard walked through the halls of Miss Minchin's together, hand in hand. Aww. Gay. Dancing lessons. She sighed noisily, her shoulders rising and falling. I wish that being hopeless at books meant that I was good at something else instead. My father wouldn't be happy if I were only good at dancing, but at least Miss Minchin wouldn't look at me so disapprovingly. But it is only something else for me to fail at. I feel so heavy and graceless compared to the other girls. She is heavier than the other girls, but she isn't graceless. I think you move very well. You are always in time to the music. Lavinia isn't. But I don't look right when I move my arms, and the dance master always frowns at me. Jessie is the best of us. She looks like a flower in the breeze, like a glorissa lily, because its petals are long and red and wavy, like her hair. They tell us we should try to move like a field of celandines. I never feel like a celandine. I know what a celandine looks like, and I am not one. I just want to give her a hug. When I first played this game, I remember relating to her so much. Just that feeling of feeling like you didn't quite you weren't good at a lot of things, and even if you had one good thing you were good at, it wasn't what everyone always expected or wanted of you, and I don't know, just feeling self-conscious all the time about my body and the way I looked and the way I moved. It just made me very so I related to her a lot. They reached Sarah's room and took seats upon the bed. What is a celandine? I don't think we had them in India. Oh, a little yellow flower. That's the lesser celandine. They're not very tall, but the flowers are very bright, with lots of yellow petals like this. She held up her hands, curling her fingers around. They come up early in the spring. They grow in great bunches in the woods all over the ground, mostly the leaves, but with little bright dots of flowers. The other kind is taller. Their flowers are yellow too, bright yellow, but they only have 4 petals. I may not have seen those. I'm not sure. What flowers grow wild in India? Oh, many kinds. Tall spikes covered with purple orchids that nod down. Flowers with petals pink as lips that grow straight up from the ground with no stems. I don't know all their names. I wish you could have brought some with you. If I had picked flowers in India before I left, they would have died and fallen apart on the ship. Emmengard hung her head. I'm sorry. It was a stupid idea. No, I wish I could have brought you flowers to see as well. Perhaps someday I will learn to draw and paint with watercolors. Then I can make pictures of flowers so that I could bring them to show you. Can you draw? I don't know. She held out her hands in front of her, examining the stubby fingers and their short, blunt nails. I wouldn't expect that I can. Your hands are so delicate, Sarah. That's the way a lady's hand should be. Sarah pressed her palm against Emmengard's. Her fingers seemed almost the same length, but no more narrow.
Well, Emily's fingers are much rounder and shorter than yours, and she is still a lady. Your hands are stronger than mine. I'm sure there are many things your hands can do that mine can't. But you can do everything. Sarah's eyes took on a mischievous glint. Only magic can do everything. Imagine what I could do with this school, if I really could do everything. Mariette, are you... Oh, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. It's quite all right. Are you reading? Wait, that book. I've seen it before. It was a familiar copy of Poems Antiques. Your friend Ermengarde St. John made a gift of it to me. She thought I might appreciate the volume de Beaux-Arts François to feel more at home. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think of it. Would you like me to buy you more books in French? I don't mind. No, mademoiselle, I am content. But it was a very kindly thought of Ermengarde's. But such a young girl to notice and think of a maid, one who was not in her employ, many would not. Ermengarde is very nice. I did not even consider Mariette. I wanted that book for myself, but Ermengarde has seen the person who would benefit from it most. Oh, we need some artistry, so let's... we don't need any sympathy. We have plenty of sympathy. Let's play with toys. Let's write in journal. Play with toys. Go for a walk. And write in diary. That seems like a good one. Alright. Writing. You know what? If I could find the artist who did this, I would love if I ever get popular enough to do more Twitch things, I would love if my Twitch icon was like an image like this cute little with the pointing, pointing at the subs and pointing at the people. That would be so cute. I wish I knew how to do that. I have to learn how to do that, because that would be such a good little just gif, a little icon. If I could have that, I'd have to talk to the artist, but I would love that more than anything. Sarah was resting in her room with a book when there came a quiet knock on the door. Sarah, Mama? What is it, Lottie? Have you come for tea? Marinette has promised us a special treat, apricot sandwiches. That sounds disgusting. Oh, yes. No. Sarah, Mama, you like school, don't you? I don't know. It wasn't something she had previously spent a great deal of time deciding. After all, whether I like it or not, I am here now. I don't think I could say that I don't like it. Everyone is kind to me, and my rooms are pleasant. No, I meant school with books and numbers and remembering things. Oh, yes, I like books very much. Could you help me with my lessons? Because it's hard to pay attention, and then Miss Minchin scolds me. I don't like it when she says my name like that. Miss Lee. I don't like it. But you make everything interesting. Of course I'll help you with your schoolwork, but you still have to learn it. All right. Ermengarde is free. And we go. Sarah? Oh, Sarah, look what I have. Ermengarde knocked rapidly on Sarah's door with one hand, while the other pinned her treasure against her chest. When Sarah opened the door, she was surprised to see her friend clinging with such enthusiasm to what appeared to be a pair of books. Certainly, books would be worthy of Sarah's excitement, but in Ermengarde's hands they seemed more commonly to be useless weights tying her down. Your father sent you something else? Oh no, these aren't from my father. May I come in? Of course. She held out her arm in elegant invitation, a hostess in miniature. I'll have Mariette fetch us some tea and cakes. Oh, no cake for me, please. She ducked her head as she walked into Sarah's room, then again to nod a hello to Mariette. It's just that my mother is always sending me hampers of sweets, even if I don't want them. I would rather have bread and butter, if that's all right. does sound good. Of course it is. I will return shortly, mademoiselle. Sarah pulled out a chair for Ermengarde, who was still cradling her burden. Are those books something your mother sent, then? No, no. These are from my mother's sister, my Aunt Eliza. She lives in the countryside. She never married, so she inherited my mother's parents' property, and she lives there alone, except when she visits my mother. My father doesn't like her very much, because she doesn't agree with him about Irish home rule, and she wasn't very clever at school either. He thinks she is a bad influence. I like her. I wish she were always visiting. When I go home, my father is always asking me things like, where did Edward III ascend the throne? When did Edward III ascend the throne, and who died of a surf fight of lampreys? And then my mother says, dear me, Ermengarde, you are very fat, and sighs. Aunt Eliza takes me riding, and talks about the hunt, and Rover and Skipper, her dogs, and her gardens. She sent me these. Ermengarde laid out the 2 volumes for Sarah's eyes. No, there was only one cloth-bound volume. The other, though a similar size and shape, was in fact a pair of wooden blocks wrapped round with leather straps. It is for flower pressing. You press the flowers tight between the wood blocks and squeeze out all the water inside them. If you put a sheet of paper inside, sometimes the petals will color it, like a print. When the flowers are dry and flat, then you can frame them or stick them to the pages of a book with some egg white. See, she sent some pansies for a start. Ermengarde spread open the pages of her book, and Sarah bent her dark head to take a closer look. Oh, you can still see all the little veins in the petals. If you dry them when you press them, they don't shrivel up. What a charming hobby. Your aunt is very wise. It is good to know that Ermengarde does have a relative she is fond of. If you had a flower press when you were in India, then you could have saved some of the flowers. When I go back there, after I finish school, I will have to press flowers and mail them to you. Go back? It had not occurred to Ermengarde until this moment that Sarah saw her life in England as nothing but a temporary sojourn. Yes, I must return to my papa. I miss him dreadfully. Then I will never see you again. Oh. Sarah as well had not entirely considered the consequences of developing friendships at Miss Minchin's and then returning to her home so many hundreds of miles away. It was one thing to think of those whom she loved and missed, but another to consider that she herself would be missed quite strongly, if the look in Ermengarde's eyes was anything to judge by. Well, once I am an adult, I will be able to travel, if I please. I see no reason why I couldn't come back to England once in a while. She reached over and touched Ermengarde's hand. If you are waiting for me here, then I will always come back. Ermengarde breathed out a sigh of relief. It would be dreadful if you were gone forever. At that moment, Mariana arrived at last with the tea, and Ermengarde's flower book had to be carefully set aside. It is. It's just, just the music, the sad instrumental, you're gonna leave? You're gonna go away? You can't go away. Girls, gather around, if you please. Just opened the wrong thing. As the weather is particularly pleasant today, we will be taking carriages to the park for extended riding lessons. Please dress accordingly. Oh, thank goodness. It's been so long. I have never greatly cared for horses. It is fashionable, and a lady should know at least the basics, but it is simply not comfortable. Do you ride, Sarah? I will not truly say that I ride, but I have met horses and been in the saddle once or twice. But I'm sure you'll learn. You learn everything, after all. I do try. I like riding. I wish we could go further than the park, though. It is more pleasant to be on horseback in the countryside. Oh, I agree. It is much lovelier. Imagine being on horseback, galloping across the wild moors, long hair streaming behind you like a warrior queen of old. Riding astride like some hoyden, even Boadicea rode. Riding astride like some hoyden, even Boadicea rode in a chariot. I think I should like a chariot. Just then, their discussions were interrupted by the sound of a wailing child. Miss Minchin was attempting to bring little Lottie together with the older girls, much to her displeasure. "I won't go! I won't! I won't! What a ridiculous noise you are making! Stop that at once! Shan't! You are more than old enough to begin learning. Every student at the school is expected to. I hate horses! I won't! Flinching and covering their ears with their hair, the other girls slipped away to change into riding dress. Only Sarah remained. "If you don't behave, you shall be whipped, just as a horse would be." "No!" To Sarah's surprise, Lottie suddenly broke free of Miss Minchin and rushed to Sarah, cowering behind her and pressing her wet face into the fabric of Sarah's dress. "Is this more than just a tantrum? Miss Minchin, please, could you let me talk to her alone? Dear Sarah, you are very kind, but we simply do not have time for these shenanigans. If you can make her mind swiftly, then do so, but it must be done." Shaking her head, she walked away. Lottie wiped her grubby hands across her face. Her shrieks had quieted, but her eyes were still little fountains. "Lottie, are you afraid of horses?" "Yes." "Well then, no wonder that you are upset." This cheerful justification startled Lottie enough to leave her frozen in mid-sniffle, mouth hanging open. Sarah nodded and continued. "It is normal to be upset about things that frighten you. Only, I think it is also normal to try and make yourself less frightened, if you can. You wouldn't want to be afraid forever. Horses are very large, but they can also be kind and sweet. They like apples and carrots and being petted, just like cats do." Lottie now seemed more confused than distraught. "Perhaps today you should just go and meet the horses. Then you can come back and play with Tybalt." What if Lavinia won't let me?" "And we shall wait until she is not looking, and while we wait, I will tell you about the horse who rescued a lost prince." She held out her hand, and after a moment, Lottie took it. "That's one of the things a new weekly activity is now available. Sarah can use her free time to help the younger students with their schoolwork by choosing the tutoring option." I really like Sarah as a protagonist. She doesn't speak like a normal child. She's very well educated and well spoken in ways that almost feel a little too much like an adult rather than a child. But there's something about her in the story and her beautiful optimism and hope that is really nice to see. She's a strong female character, but she doesn't need a sword or need to be tough. It's her resilience and just again, her optimism that makes her so strong. And I don't know, I wish I could go more into the story, but I don't want to spoil a lot right now. But it's really wonderful just to watch and see her develop. Okay, yes, okay, let's read a book, and then let's writing diary. Let's do some tutoring. Let's practice dance. Let's writing diary. I think that's good. Reading. Writing. Tutoring. Dancing. Writing. Yay, we got some stuff. When Sarah came down the stairs, she found Jessie holding a most curious item. It resembled a long wooden spoon, though somewhat thicker in the shaft and with a solid round end instead of a bowl. What are you doing with that? Jessie turned the object over in her hands. "Oh, Sarah, isn't it interesting? It's from India." "I know. I've heard there are societies for gentlemen and ladies, separate of course, where they all have wooden clubs like these and swing them to strengthen their arms, or even throw them at each other. Isn't that quaint? Are you sure they throw them at each other? In India, the jugglers throw them up into the air and catch them again." "Oh, I don't know." She looked at the solid wooden shape she held. then up at Miss Minchin's painted ceiling. Perhaps I ought not to try that. Where did you get it from? Lavinia gave it to me. For a moment she cradled the club in her arms as if it were a doll. She wouldn't tell me anything about it, though. She told me to take it if I was so interested, and she would say nothing more. Jessie let the length dangle down from her hand and swung it gently back and forth. It doesn't seem like such hard work. Her eyes glinted for a moment with strange emotion. Imagine the blow if you struck a man with this. Jessie's asking the important questions. Oh, thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for joining the stream, Hermes. I want to get to the first part, but it's already so late. I didn't expect it to get so... Maybe I'll go for a little longer. Yeah, imagine. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm super excited to do more, and have a good night. I just love Jessie. Imagine killing a man. She's like, what? Why? Oh, it was a foolish thought. Nothing more. I was thinking of chariots and queens and being completely 100% homosexual. Just absolutely balls to the wall lesbian. We are not soldiers and have no need to defend ourselves. There are brave men for that job. Like my papa. Yes, you are lucky to have such a father. Sarah smiled, pleased to accept any compliments for her beloved papa, and thought no more of it. Yeah, be your own soldier. Yay! Looks like, we're beginning very lucky. We're getting all of Emengard just perfectly. We're missing out on these other characters, but it's fine. Do you guys, let me ask, do you guys want me to try and go until the end of the first part? Or do you want me to, like, maybe after this one, I'll take a break and I can stream the next part tomorrow or some other day? Like, where are you guys on this? So I'm also thinking once I'm done with these streams, putting them up on YouTube. It's just sort of a full-length thing. I don't think I'm going to edit these too much. I'm going to just have them be streams. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, let's do this last one, and then I'll let people go so that they can rest or take a break, because I'm sure it's been nice, but 2 hours and 30 minutes is a long time to listen to somebody read, and I appreciate it. So we're just going to finish this Emengard one, and then we'll save. Sarah, would you like to go for a walk? It is a lovely day. Well, no, it is not a lovely day, but it is close to a pleasant day as we are likely to have in London. Nice girls always say it is lovely if they wish to go out. And I wish to go out with you, if that's all right. Oh my gosh. I just wanna take you out on a date or something. You know, that thing of gals being pals. Whatever that word is, where we frolic among the lilies in like a friendshipy way and hold hands in a friendshipy way. Going out with you in a friendshipy way. Emengard's fingers flicked and fidgeted at the side of her skirt. Sarah caught her hand and clasped it. We will make it a lovely day. We will make it a lovely day, then, because you and I will be part of it. There's no hetero explanation for that, and I'm glad. It was a pleasant day for London, clouded enough not to be overly warm, but without the blanket of fog and foul air that sometimes developed in the city streets. If we are fortunate, perhaps we might see some dragoons on patrol in the park. You like to watch the soldiers? Her eyes warmed with remembrance. Their uniforms are so bright. The red and gold make any man look handsome, even if he has whiskers like a walrus. And the horses have high necks and beautiful glossy coats. They're full of energy. It makes me feel good, somehow, to see them, to think that they and I are in the same world and owe our loyalty to the same queen. Yes, that is how I felt sometimes when I saw Papa drill with his regiment, that I am proud to be a part of the British Empire. Oh! Ermengarde's heart was lightened by the thought that one of her strange feelings was something that she had shared with her idol. Encouraged, she continued. I don't know, Dragoon? Oh, I think Dragoons are like what are now considered like the soldiers who would stand outside Parliament and just kind of like sit motionlessly. I think that's the term for them, the olden term. I don't know if I'm gonna want to edit this either. Maybe I'll ask Maple to help me do some small editings here and there for the stream, or I should just keep it, natural. Egg Dragoon. The thing from Sonic. Dragoon, isn't that a thing from a RPG? Encouraged, she continued. Sometimes I think that if I were a boy, I might like to be a soldier. Then I could go on adventures in faraway places, like your papa, India, or even Africa. If I were in the cavalry, I would have a fine red uniform and a shiny helmet and a sword, and I would get to ride all the time on a black charger. Yeah, right, she would. I wouldn't feel so big and awkward all the time then. I could feel strong. I think it might be nice to protect people, to protect my country. Oh, I really love this development of her, just like, it's so good. And again, during this time, like, ladies were just not, maybe you would be a very good Ermengarde. You would be very cute as an Ermengarde too. Both sound really cute. But yeah, there's something about, like, obviously in this day and age, you couldn't be, like, you had to be more than just, like, women couldn't do things outside of being a lady. It was just even uncouth that ladies were well learned in this time, or if they were too opinionated, that was, like, so, I don't know. It's really, I feel for her in that, like, sense of, like, wanting to be able to do what she wants, because, my time, there was a lot of things I couldn't do. There's just a lot of things. It's so nice that I can be who I want to be in this day and age. Sarah was caught up in the vision. Perhaps you might even perform an act of great heroism to save lives at risk of your own, and then be knighted by the hand of Queen Victoria. Ermengarde hid her face behind her hands. No, I don't think that. That would never happen. Don't tease. I'm not teasing you. I think you would make a very good hero. You're kind, and that is the most important trait that a hero needs. But do you really wish that you were a boy? I'm kind of gay, and I don't know. That's gonna mellow my vibe. Like, Sarah. Oh, I don't know. Not really. Besides, if I were a boy and a soldier, my father would still be disappointed in me. How sad it is to forever feel that your father is not proud of you. Sarah? Yes? The next time that I go to visit my family, will you come with me? I'd like to be able to show you parts of England that aren't London. Maybe we can even go and see my Aunt Eliza. The countryside is so much nicer than even the parks here. We could go through the woods and look for berries and mushrooms and have that little cottagecore lesbian lifestyle. She reined herself in. You don't have to. Only if you wanted. Sarah stopped in place. She turned to Ermengarde and placed her hands on her shoulders to make sure that her friend was looking. I would love to go to the countryside with you. I would love to have a little cottagecore lesbian adventure with you. She let go of Ermengarde then and laughed, a gay, bright sound that made the other girls smile to hear it. To come all the way to England and then to see nothing but Miss Minchin's school? Surely that would not be right. Oh, Sarah, it would be lovely, truly lovely. Not lovely because it is the polite thing to say. Only, do you have any old clothes? If we are to hunt in the woods or lie in the grass, you might not want to wear your best frocks. Yeah, right. Jessie is one of my favorites too. I like Jessie for a different reason. But to be honest, the first person I went with was Ermengarde, and I'm not gonna go more. I'm gonna let us experience this as we go along. But yeah, Ermengarde was the first character I ever picked. Just because I really liked her design and everything, and I always like the shy kind of friend characters in games. Like in a dating sim, when you choose, I tend to pick the shyer girl, the quieter girl, the sort of the soft friend who it has a little bit of social anxiety or self-consciousness or tends to have some sort of insecurity. I don't know. I just like those like very sweet, soft characters. She feels very soft. She feels like she's very soft to hug, and just you very much want to protect her. I'm not sure. I have some dresses that are nicer than others, but nothing that is truly old. I could buy more clothes, but then they would be new. Mariette says that I'm growing a great deal right now, though, and that soon I will not fit into some of my frocks, so I suppose that I will have old clothes then. You could borrow mine if you wanted. If you outgrow something, then it might not fit you at all, but if I outgrow something, then for you it might be fine. Ugh, they're even doing the lesbian sharing of the clothes. That's just peak gay. Yeah, sharing clothes. Yeah, the badass bitch is fun, or nerd. It's very fun. It's also very good that you said badass bitch, because the other bitch you definitely don't like. You want a badass bitch like a... I don't know if I would put Jessie. I don't know if I would put any of these characters as badass bitches. Whereas Lavinia is just a straight up bitch. If you outgrow something, then it might not fit you at all, but if I outgrow something, then for you it might be fine. Thank you. She kissed Ermengarde on the cheek. You see, you are very kind. Ermengarde put her fingers against the soft curve of her cheek, where Sarah's lips had touched, and smiled. Alright, and we're gonna save, and we're gonna save here, and we're gonna do it as stream 1. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and let me put this. I just want to thank you guys so much. Yeah, that definitely that definitely gets really gay. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for so long with this stream. I had a ton of fun. I hope you guys had a ton of fun too. My throat is a little sore, but I still had so much fun, and I was really glad that I got to share this game. And I just thank you guys so much. That it means a lot to me that you guys were here to enjoy this with me, and that I had your guys' support. And thank you. Thank you, Maple, and thank you, Trinity. I didn't realize it was so good, but that makes me so happy that everyone was here, and I hope you all had a good time. And I'm super excited to continue the next stream in the future. I definitely want to do this again. I want to do this series, and I have plenty of other series in mind. I'm not a one-trick pony. I love tons of video games, and maybe even I won't always do video games. I don't know if Twitch will allow it, but maybe even occasionally I could read a book, and I could just do a read-along, since people seem to enjoy that a lot. But the main thing will be video games, and I play a ton of different genres. And so you're always gonna, just chillin' would be a good place. So I'm gonna have definitely tons of games to play of all kinds of genres, of all kinds of stories and types, and some will be silly and stupid, some will be scary and spooky, some will be
I just want to make sure it's okay. More less so that it falls into the Twitch stream agreements, because I would be doing like audiobooks. So if I'm reading someone's book, that might constitute as like copyright infringement. I'm not sure how it works exactly, but I guess if people can do let's plays, then I'm sure this is fine. But I just thank you guys so much for being here. This is also perfect, one of the perfect like songs to like end my stream on. Like just the sound of this song in the background with this little screen. And I hope as I go, I would, you know, I get to build a fan base with you guys, and I get to chat with you guys more, and we just have a good night. So thank you everyone for attending. Sleep well, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright, bye.